Who are you? Who are you really? Are you what society tells you you are? Are you what your friends, family, teachers think you are? Are you just a conglomerate of cells living on this earth with no meaning? Are you your accomplishments, your failures? Does it even matter? These sorts of questions bring many to the spiritual path. Who are you? What are we meant for? And are we who we define ourselves to be? Or are we something else? Or does it even matter? Oftentimes, when you begin the spiritual journey, or I shouldn't say when you begin, how I feel, there's a deep sense of disconnect between seeing how others' lives are playing out, the systems in place, the patterns, how society functions, and how reality is outside of those systems. It seems like an act, a play, synchronized movements that don't reflect the true nature of things or the true nature of how I feel. And it's hard to put into words, but there's a separation feeling. And it's hard to overcome and think about, because the more you think about it, the more separated you feel. You're wondering, are other people feeling these same things? Is it just me going through this? You can go to church and you can look around, and the foundation of that religion is faith. Believe not on experience, but believe because this is the right thing. This is the system of structure that makes sense, and if that's not the structure you follow, then I'm not saying all religions are this way, but if that's not the structure you follow, then you're on the wrong path. I found this more in Western religions and concepts and the way people live their lives here. But it just feels like such a disconnect. It's like a guideline for your own personal spiritual journey. And it's easy to fall into a guideline. Set of rules, commandments, sacraments. But it feels like it's just puppeteering. Who's pulling the strings? Who's guiding the play? Who wrote the screenplay? But when you start, or maybe it's a phase of a spiritual journey, you can look, it comes into picture that it's not necessarily the accurate representation of the true nature of things, and the true nature of things seems to be where spirituality lies. If God or the great power, if we're molded after Him and we're nature, then shouldn't that be a part of everything? And some ideologies embrace this in different ways. And I guess it's up to the individual to find their own path or create their own structure, what their beliefs are. But it doesn't override the disconnectedness feeling. So the point of this video is just to share how I'm feeling about this, and that I've been wanting to open up a discussion if anybody else is feeling this way. If it's just a phase. I'm not saying I'm like depressed, not at all. But there is a feeling of isolation. Because it's hard to meet people on that level. It's hard to question things, sanctions, and without resistance or fear of being ostracized for those thoughts and for those feelings. And it's even harder to put into words, in a way that can be understood. This has been one of the things that created interest within me for philosophy and spirituality and, to a certain point, theology. And trying to come to a deeper understanding of some other people's thoughts on this topic. But as language has its limitations, so does understanding what someone is truly trying to say. That's why we have masters in all religions, because apparently they understand it better than everybody else. And they're trying to pass that message on, and it's not something that can be grasped right away. Maybe it's something that can only be obtained through deep self-reflection, deep thinking, or some philosophies require the acceptance as things are that we'll never know. I will continue on this path, and I want to talk about this more in the future. I love you guys. See you next time.